A number of you asked me about the refresh of my Brompton Interceptor. If you read my book, you know how I built it, and it was built in 2017. It's been a while. It's been 8 years and my battery is getting older. In this video, I just want to discuss the advances of technology since 2017 and how this relates to the Brompton Interceptor 2, which I intend to build this year. Of course, I'm going to change a lot more than just electronics, and more on that in other videos. And when the whole bike is fully built, you'll see it in action on the road, and I will create a second edition of the book to include all of the new innovations. But in this video, it's all about the battery and the energy system that powers the bike. Now, what you see here is the battery I bought in 2017. I paid about $400, maybe a little over, $430. This website thinks I am still in Europe. I am not. I am back in New York. But this is about the price you would be charged even in US dollar, maybe $370 or $80. So it's the same battery. It has gotten a little bit cheaper. But if you don't account for inflation, it's really not much cheaper than it was 8 years ago, which is kind of disappointing. But on the other hand, when you look at inflation, that everything costs, I mean, the dollar has lost at least half of its value since 2017. I really don't think I'm exaggerating on that. In case you're curious about the website, I have a link to this website on my shopping page. There is a link to the shopping page below, but I will include a separate link on the top in the description section just to make sure you have it. They have a number of other batteries as well. This is not the only one. I am running 48 volts. A lot of not so sophisticated bikes, including the Brompton electric, run 36 volts. The voltage is the pressure of energy in the wire. So if the wires were running water, that would be the water pressure. So 48 volts will give you more performance at, say, 250 watt than a 36 volt battery. So I'm very happy with the 48 volts. There are some super powerful big bikes that are even more than this, over 70 volts and such. 52 volts also exist. That's not a huge difference. Then we look at the ampere hour. This is about what I have, 13.5 ampere hour. This is not the ampere hour, it's the model number, but it reflects on how many ampere hours of energy is stored in the battery. I would say if you have 13.5 and the battery is new, and if it's good quality, it should give you pretty good 50-mile range, cruising at around 15 miles an hour. If you are speeding at 25, 20 miles an hour, that's going to drop. It's not going to be 50, maybe 40. The construction is actually done in China, but the cells, which I believe are also Chinese assembled, are Panasonic cells. And back then, I had a lot of concern about fires and accidents. I did not want to take a chance. So buying batteries made out of rock solid big brand cells like Panasonic, LG, Bosch, Tesla, all of those is a security, because none of those batteries have ever burned down. There used to be a lot of hysteria, especially in New York, about e-bike delivery people burning down the building with their batteries. Those were early no-name Chinese-made batteries made by Chinese companies. I don't think that's as much of a problem anymore, but it is a little bit of a concern. In this case, you have to pay extra money to get a charger. So the charger is not included. About $35, $30. The euro is becoming more valuable than the dollar once again. So yeah, this was about $35 for me. Once again, the price has not changed. So I still have my old battery and it's still working. It's not giving me 50 miles if I am riding at 15 an hour. It's giving me more like 40. So it's definitely beginning to decline in performance, but it is still functional. So what I'm thinking about is to actually carry two batteries on the bike. I have a Brompton. The battery, this one is in the battery in the front bag, but I have a handlebar bag as well. And as I mentioned in previous videos, when combined with a titanium handlebar, a heavy handlebar bag that's also wide is going to give you really nice dampening as you ride. Unfortunately, the weight of your arms and a little bit of your upper body is not enough to push the titanium bar to flex enough, so it does not flex. Whereas if you put a heavy weight like a 10-15 pound battery on it, it's giving you a lot of flexing, which I really liked and would like to have. If I look at cheaper options today, this is no-name Chinese battery, but they have come a long way. Consider that instead of 13 ampere hours, I'm getting 15. So I might be able to get 55-60 miles out of a charge at a pretty good pace. The weight is 13 pounds. That's really not bad. The other battery, this one, was about 10 pounds, 11 pounds. So compared to that, you have some extra weight, but the Brompton front bag is certified for about 15 pounds. As I mentioned in a previous video, if you are going to use the front bag with heavy weights, you have to check the front carrier regularly, because when the bag is heavy, as you're hitting the bumps, tends to gradually shake the screws loose, and when the screws break or come out, you can have a serious problem. I had that problem a couple of years ago. Here's the size of it. I mean, this would fit a front bag of the Brompton. It's definitely going to fit the handlebar bag. Don't be afraid of loading up the handlebar bag, because the handlebar has never broken under anybody. I've never heard of a single case. If a 250-pound person can put his upper body weight on the handlebar, then you can most likely add a 10-15 pound battery to it as well. You just have to make sure the bag itself is rated to carry as much weight as this, and mine definitely does. I'm giving you a link to this battery as well. It's worth checking them out. There are a number of these batteries from these no-name companies. I mean, I don't even know how to pronounce this. Pioneer Store, whatever. So I don't know if you even have a warranty with this one. Oh, there's a 12-month warranty. That's not bad. So you have some security. I'm telling you, these batteries have come a long way, and I could very easily add a second one, even if it's of a different brand. Another option is to switch to new technology. The latest technology which Tesla has been promising to integrate is a lithium battery, but it is lithium phosphate. Because of the Fe, this is iron. This contains iron, so it's a little bit heavier and also a tiny bit bulkier. In fact, it's quite bulky, and the way they make them, this one is made specifically for the golf cart and heavy scooters and things like that. So it's just not the shape that I could use. Like, you could put it into one of these wheelchair things, especially if it's a fairly heavy vehicle, but it's not really for an e-bike. In fact, if you look at the weight of this, I think this thing, here it is, it weighs 35 pounds. So it's pretty heavy stuff. And I can carry 35 pounds on my Brompton, but not in the same bag. So I need something smaller, maybe two smaller lithium-ion batteries would do it, or lithium phosphate, I should say. Well, here is a smaller one. This would give me the 15 ampere hour, but it's not a 48 volt, it's a 12 volt. So I would need 4 of them, and I would need to wire them together to make a single battery. What does that mean? Well, each of them 3.5 pounds. 4 of those batteries, that's 14 pounds. So it's really not that much worse than getting the lithium ion. The lithium phosphate is a tiny bit heavier, but not by a long shot. The problem is it's still a little bit bulky, although it is tempting to just wire them together. Also, because I would need 4 of them and I would need to wire them together, I'm not sure if the charging would mean that I would need to independently charge each of the 4 batteries every time I charge it up. That would be, and it would take 5 hours to charge it up. So that's not so cool, especially using a charger that was made to charge up just one unit. I don't think I could use it to charge up 4 of them within reasonable time. So this one just seems like an inconvenience, and the only benefit is that lithium phosphate batteries are much more solid. There has not been a single fire of them. They are very secure. But there is a reason why none of the big e-bike manufacturers has yet to endorse this technology. Even Tesla is being very slow in adopting it. Although Tesla has killed some people with their fires. So if anybody, then electric car manufacturers should pay attention. But I think for something as light as an e-bike, it's probably better to go with the lithium ion. Now, another technology I was thinking of was to run a generator. Obviously, the weight is enormous. This is 44 pounds in a single box. It would have to be put into a trailer, which I guess is going to work. Some people have done it, and it's very expensive. The Honda is one of the premium brands in this business, but theirs is the quietest and one of the smallest. So this is one unit I would consider. The performance it would provide would be enormous. 2200 watts at 120 volts. This is way more than my bike could even handle, so I would have to down regulate the voltage, and I would never, my controller would not be set to 2200 watts. Obviously, based on personal experience, they are not that quiet. I'm not sure about Honda, but I often walk by street vendors in New York City who use this technology, and their generators are pretty loud. So there is the high price, the heavy weight, and the issue with the noise. On the other hand, you can just fill up at any gas station and go as far as you want and ride at 30 miles an hour non-stop. It's never going to run out. So there are certain advantages to this solution. Also, one disadvantage, obviously, is that it's not going to be put onto the Brompton itself. You need a trailer to put this into. I'm not currently ready for this. I think if I have a 2 battery setup, that is going to be a massive upgrade compared to what I have. And I'm not willing to compromise on performance. I don't have to. I can carry 2 batteries on one bike. I cannot carry a generator on the bike. I would need to have a trailer. Now, just looking at generators, there are other things here. And there are these really light, really cheap, small little power stations that are able to push out 110 or 120 volts, which is the US standard. What surprises me is that as cheap as they are, absolutely silent and everything, they run on lithium ion. So the same thing as the traditional battery technology for e-bikes. But check this out. This is in milliamperes, which means you deduct 3 zeros. That means 70 ampere hour. 70 ampere hour instead of 15 for a lower price. There has to be a catch, and obviously there is one. I'm sure they are very slow, so they cannot discharge the wattage as quickly as a larger, more powerful battery. But still, if I could get 350 watts continuous for 70 ampere hours, that's very tempting. And the weight of the whole thing is 6.5 pounds. It hardly has any weight at all. So I'm kind of interested in perhaps buying one and experimenting with it because it is just so cheap, and it could be used for household duties, especially given the geopolitical situation. You never know when there's going to be a blackout or something really hairy happening. Having a power station like this one at home may be a good idea, especially combining it with like a solar panel. And even if you add a panel, this is still a very cheap price. Of course, I've also considered carrying solar panels that are foldable on the bike and maybe charging, like you ride to the park and then you charge at the park. But it's just not doable. It's still too bulky. It's still too heavy. At the end of the day, I might get this as a kind of a tryout household thing, and I probably will. But my immediate upgrade for the Brompton Interceptor 2 is going to be this one. It's going to be a cheaper and more powerful all Chinese made, Chinese branded lithium ion battery, and see where I got with that. Make sure to keep following this channel, to subscribe, like, share, and check out the shop and the links below. And I will have more information on the Interceptor 2 in future videos.
I'll be back.